Welcome everyone. Completely forgot the captions were on. Welcome to the Trisscast, where we have a very wonderful guest today. Namely, do you
Wonder
want to introduce
wonderful
yourself?
is a wonderful is a bit of an overstatement, I would say.
I mean, it's my
I'm just
show. I can make that judgment.
if you say so. My name is Winter Corvus, but please just call me V. Pronouns she, her, please.
Yes. Name and pronouns, as usual, are in the top left of the screen.
Oh,
Um,
look at that.
I normally I have a topic list. I didn't prep one, so today the topic list is just I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest, which is very on brand.
Mhm.
Usually, when I get a guest, I try and clear the topic list before. But I've had a very busy week. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm enjoying being back at my own home, been keeping super busy, and it's been pretty great.
It's good to hear.
Hmm.
Um,
And what about you?
Myself, I'm doing quite well. I'm trying to like get a proper healthy sleeping schedule.
Hmm.
Um, because I have recently for the past week I've been getting to sleep at 6 a.m.
Oof.
and as a result, not waking up until like fairly late in the afternoon. Um,
Hmm.
And later this week, I have a doctor's appointment at like 9 o'clock in the morning. Um,
So either you need to fix your sleep before then, or stay up until that doctor's appointment and fix your sleep after.
yeah, so I'm gonna try and fix my sleep schedule. But
Hmm.
it's been interesting.
Yeah, I've been kind of staying up a little bit late, which is why I've been waking up a little bit late myself. Not that late though. I've been waking up around noon,
Yeah,
but it's okay. I'm being
and
kind
yeah,
to myself.
that's what's most important. Being kind to yourself. In my defense, though, I stream until like late in the evening because I'm from
Hmm.
Europe, so I need to adjust for like the fact that the American time zone is the best to be live.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it has. I've noticed that it's been getting out of hand because even on days that I don't stream, I'm getting like I'm in bed super early and I just don't fall asleep, which has been becoming an issue. Um,
Well, we got to fix that then.
yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah. One of the reasons I kind of wanted to bring you on, or at least actually a few. One of which is because you would be the first plural guest on the stream.
Really?
Yeah, I've had
Uh,
a total of three, technically four guests before. Um,
hmm.
but you're the first one who's plural as well.
Wonderful.
I know quite a few plural systems, but not all of them are willing to like talk about it openly on a platform. So I'm like not gonna
Hmm.
drag them out for it.
Of course. And
Um,
you know me,
yeah,
I'm very open about everything. So.
as I like to be myself. Though I
Mhm.
think there's a second inclination there that I'm not quite as shared in,
Well, I didn't catch it, but it was probably there. Thanks, Vivian.
presumably. Nah, but a second reason as well is because my own goal with my own streams is in part focusing on everything that comes with mental health. So destigmatizing it, making it visible to the world, and also, you know, um, creating a
Mhm.
space where it can be talked about. Um, and from hanging out in your streams, I got a very much a similar sense.
Absolutely.
And I,
Like
well,
there's no real topic that's like off limits as long as it's spoken about in a respectful and understanding way for at least in my community. So
yeah,
like
and that's
if yeah,
how I kind of feel it should be.
yeah, things got to be talked about.
Yeah, and it's by talking about it that we can make topics so much more accessible.
Hmm.
Um, and that's one of the most important things because they always want to try and the people who are against equality in every sense try and prevent us from talking about it because
Mhm.
that's how they stop us from making actual progress.
Mhm. We are woefully misunderstood and almost demonized for a lot of things, especially the plural thing. Like that
Yeah,
is such it's like a very common narrative trope in media to multiple personalities equates to like serial killer.
yeah, and
Like
that's in general with all forms of mental health. And it's
and same with like even psychopathy and
yeah,
sociopathy. Like those things don't mean you are violent. They mean you lack emotion or are very self-centered typically.
yeah, it gets to me so much because I know so many people who still think that psychopath and sociopath just mean you act in a violent way,
Mhm.
and it's so exhausting to like deal with able people and try and explain like no, that's not the definition. One of those
Mhm.
terms is not even an actual term within psychology.
Yep. It's just a matter of getting the information up there. You can't people won't change their minds about their like people have their opinions. People are pretty, well dug in on those. Usually with false information, misinformation, disinformation. And it's not about trying to change their minds. It's about trying to make the information visible so that they can
Exactly.
come to the correct conclusions on their own.
Exactly. That's a really good way to put it.
It's like I can't help you, but I can help you help yourself.
Yes, that's also like because that's exactly how I kind of try and keep my approach to when other people reach out for help.
Hmm.
And it's been such a like hard one to explain to other people.
Hmm.
Like I deliberately try and be active in quite a few just in general very progressive and accepting spaces.
Hmm.
Um, but it kind of has a tendency of resulting in me feeling like the token plural person in the group, where as soon as there's a
Hmm.
question about it, it's just instantly they run over to me to ask.
Yeah, I'm lucky to have quite a few other systems in my community,
Yeah,
and it was really helpful when with me discovering for my own self, like this, my discovery of being plural was I've kind of known, had inclinations, had thoughts about it, but it wasn't really confirmed until the end of 2019. So it's rather new discovery in the grand scheme of things for me, and the community that I fostered has been infinitely helpful in that journey of self discovery for myself, and in turn, I get to help other people as well.
oh, that's wonderful. I
Hmm.
myself did have some like within the communities that I was in. I didn't stream myself yet, but I did have like some of the communities I was in did have other plural people um,
Hmm.
that kind of helped me and be introduced to the to everything around it. And that eventually made me realize, wait, you're telling me all of this is not just my PTSD, but it's actually something else.
Hmm.
Because dissociation and dissociative amnesia, I always just thought, yeah, I've got PTSD, it makes sense. Nothing
Hmm.
further about it. No need to look into it.
Yeah, it's like again, you think you have all the information, so you make a reasonable deduction, reasonable conclusion, but then more information presents itself, and you need to be accepting of that information and make a new conclusion based off of it, not just say, "Oh, I already have an answer." You- So many people will get their first answer and then be content with that and ignore all new information. But
Exactly.
it's a matter, yeah, you need to be constantly like self-checking, like you're constantly changing, you're constantly learning. You need to adjust for that.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And that is sometimes a bit of a tough challenge to
It's not
get people
easy,
to learn.
yeah. But
Yeah.
like once you start doing it, it's easy to maintain, I feel.
Yeah, and I especially feel like it's important like the power of a community.
Hmm.
Because if you build a community around being able to talk about such topics, um, and building it around all of the good things that you can do with it, you can very quickly create, kind of like a compounding effect, because
Mm.
then the people who enter into that community can will carry that forward, and you don't need to spend all of that energy consistently keeping it up yourself, because when you can't do it, the community itself will carry it forward.
Yeah. It's like help two people and instruct those two people to help two people and just ripple effect. It
Yeah,
spreads out.
exactly. So, Kita Akahana, thank you for the headpats and welcome to the community. Don't think I've seen you here before. And V, what rights do you want me to call out?
Yes. All of them.
Just all the rights?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Every single one.
Full and equal rights to fun and everyone around.
Perfect.
You have been around. Sorry, then I kind of am in the mindset of presuming because we have a guest that everybody in chat is going to be new. Because that's my general experience with bringing guests on. That's right. That's where I did remember the name somewhere, but wasn't certain if it was from chat. Either way,
Yeah, it's
thank you for being
Kimi.
here. That's coming from Discord. Right.
Yeah. Hi, Kimi.
Either way, it's wonderful to see people here. But yes, any wonderful topics you want to bring up?
I'm bad at topics.
Oh, absolutely agree. Yeah, like I said, I usually bring a lot more prep into this, but I put the professional and unprofessional, and I just roll with it. Fake it till you make it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I kind of got that mindset from when I studied in game development, when I still could,
Mhm.
before mental health got way out of track. But in there, it was basically just like, if there was something you had to do and you didn't know how to, just tell everyone you can, and then within the deadline and anxiety is the exact few you need to figure out how to do it.
Google is your friend.
Yeah,
So yeah, I totally can do this. I will just train myself in a new field in
yeah.
half a day and then spend the rest of the week just half-assing it. It'll be fine.
Oh, absolutely. But it was like genuine advice I got from some people. Like, if you get a job and they ask you for something you don't think you can do, just say you can and just figure it out.
Yeah.
And like, I never ended up finishing my degree, so I never actually went into the field, but I'm so uncertain if that actually works. So,
Pretty sure
Kimmy,
it
thank you for
works.
the host.
I gotta do that too. Host.
I mean, you don't have to, but it is appreciated.
I
Thank you.
have to. Yeah, it's like if given the option, like if someone questions if you can do a thing, it's like you can say no if you're unfamiliar with it, or you can say yes and then quickly train yourself in it and just have more knowledge. Like if you are, confident in the fact that you can learn a new skill,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
then just say yeah. I've been just
Yeah.
be like, yeah, I can do that. I've been working on that in my spare time. And then you're not exactly lying because you will instantly be working on it in your spare time.
I mean, you make it come true. It's a lie in the
Exactly.
moment, but not a lie in the future anymore.
Yeah. Mm. But yeah, oh, so you mentioned having to drop out of game development due to mental health.
Yes.
What kind of challenges did you face in that field?
Well, I mean, I dropped out of the study, not the
Mhm,
like
yeah,
full-on work.
but still, like what mental health challenges did you face?
I
In
mean,
because I dropped out of school at 15, so
right.
like I never completed high school, and I pursued my own
Yeah.
things since then. So I don't
Um,
have the experience of like post-secondary education with my mental health.
yeah. I mean, for me personally, the biggest issue was neurodivergence. So I absolutely just um, could not focus on anything for very
Oh,
long.
so there was like the big issue where the way they teach is not conducive to teaching neurodivergent people. That is a thing
Yeah,
I experienced heavily in high school and elementary school. So I guess it makes sense that that translates to post secondary as well.
I mean, it was like actually like the way the school did it was pretty great. Um, the issue was that secondary education, I genuinely didn't do shit and got out with like really good marks. Um,
Same.
because I just listened to whatever they're telling me in class, and I
Mhm.
like in that moment I try and rationalize it because that's how I tend to learn. And then
Mhm.
I only did the homework for the courses that I knew would check frequently,
Mhm.
and the ones that didn't check as frequently and I didn't do, just believe that I was such a good student that half of the time they didn't even look at if I did the homework or not.
Yeah.
I've had more than one instance of teachers looking at my notes where they were blatantly I didn't do the work and I was ready to fess up about it and they just went, right, you got it, next one.
Yeah. For I had a similar experience where I very rarely did any of the classwork outside of tests. The tests I always did really well on, and I never ever studied for them because the I would generally absorb the information very quickly. I just didn't like the monotony of doing the same thing over and over and over again. It was so boring for me, so I just never did it.
It so is.
There was even one class, which was a computer class that I was in. It was mostly, I guess, graphic design and stuff, but I didn't do any of my assignments. I spent all my time fucking around, pardon my French, and helping other people with theirs. I my uh I guess they have like they send out pre-report cards, basically like checking how your grades are doing prior to the final report. And I had like a 15% in that class towards the end. But then when I got my final report card, I had like a 90% in that class because the teacher knew that I knew what I was doing. I helped
Yeah,
him with stuff. I had access to like the remote admin software to remote control all the systems in the class. I did so much work for him and for other students, and he knew I knew what I was doing, so he passed me.
yeah,
And some
um,
teachers are cool like that. Some
yeah,
and then some teachers are like, "You didn't do any of the work, you don't get any marks."
yeah. I get that feeling. In
Like,
between,
yeah, like he got me. Like he knew like what I was bad at, but he knew I knew what I was doing, so
yeah.
he gave me the mark I deserved.
In between, Violet Nightmare, thank you for the host and the follow. Wonderful to see you in
Hey,
the
Violet.
community.
Mhm.
Um,
Violet's good people too.
wonderful to know. Isn't just your entire community good people?
Yeah, yeah. This is pretty true. We had some pretty wonderful people there.
Good. But yeah, I noticed as well with like I reached a point in physics class because we were taught so little actually in the class. I just started reading a advanced physics book on chaos theory that the teacher gave me, which
Ooh.
reached the point that I myself handed it in because it was like I am not looking like I'm not even paying attention to any physics class anymore because I'm just
Mhm.
reading this book. I need to hand
Yeah.
it in because I can't
Mhm.
anymore. It was very fascinating though. Um,
Mhm.
and also, Cato Ticket, I'm willing to contest that statement.
I can confirm that it is a bold-faced lie.
Well, I mean,
I
we
have
know it's a lie
I
because
have
it's followed by a
we
sarcasm
we
tag.
we have several shorks, big stuffy shorks in the community, thanks to Kettle, including
Wonderful,
the one on my bed. Big Shork has helped me
wonderful.
sleep
Oh,
so well.
what's the name of those? I need to get one of those.
Blaha!
That was a name. I need to look into getting one of those.
Alright, get them from IKEA.
Yeah, I know they're from IKEA, but it's like I need to actually put in the effort to get it and
If
see if
if
I can
if you
afford
treat
it.
if you're really nice to Kettle, one might show up on your doorstep.
I'm willing to give that a shot. No, but like speaking about school, I for like the final exams for secondary, which
Mhm.
at least in the Netherlands are treated as like a very big deal because it determines what um, post-secondary education you can go to. And because my post-secondary that I applied for was a very specialized game dev study that I went into thinking I'll never get accepted into this. And then I got accepted into it. I was actually really stressed about my exams because I was like, I held the like strong belief like I'm accepted into this post secondary education and I'm just not gonna get it at secondary due to the exams. Um, and like I think I like my English exam, which of course is secondary language to me. Um,
Mhm.
I completed it in like 40 minutes and it was a 2 hour exam. And I was there being 15 minutes because it's a school hour. So, like, 40 out of 100 minutes I spent on um, the actual exam. And I wasn't
Mhm.
allowed to leave for 5 minutes because you're not allowed to leave an exam for the first 45 minutes if it's a
Yep.
2 hour exam. Um,
Mhm.
so I just sat there and, like, uh, the teacher was supervising, like, kind of like gesturing, like, did you do the other side as well? And I was like, yep, both sides.
Yeah, it's all done. It's all
Nothing to
done.
do. Just waited there for 5 minutes, staring at the clock, and
Oh,
eventually,
I
like,
I feel that so much because that was me with every test, every
yeah,
exam. It's just like, uh,
and
do
like,
people read slow and write slow? Uh.
I didn't study for it, and like, I
Mhm.
still got like a 9 for it, which on a final exam is really fucking high.
Mhm.
Hey, thank you for the house, Lunar. Good to see you.
Oh, Leonard's awake. Hmm.
Allegedly,
Morning, neighbor. Allegedly.
but yeah, it's I think similarly with biology, I hated my last biology teacher because in my fourth year I had a really good teacher. Um, And then in the fifth year, I had to get my biology class from a different teacher who just refused to explain anything in class. Um,
Mhm.
who like frequently went on tangents that some of the students who weren't interested in the course would deliberately prompt her on just to kind of distract her. Would
Mhm.
go on, um, would talk about literally just anything, like constantly telling stories about the time she spent with like shamans. Um, I don't remember in exactly what country, and like lots of like spiritual stuff as well. And I was kind of like, this is a bit odd for a biology teacher to explain during a biology class. Like,
Mhm.
how is this relevant to like cell division and stuff? And like at one point, I asked a question about like um, vaccines and stuff. And like
Mhm.
as an autistic kid about like how harmful it was that
Oh,
they
yeah.
the
Vaccines cause
autism,
autism.
yeah,
Ugh,
because
that
at
oh my
at that
god.
time it was making a resurgence, and that
Mhm.
teacher literally like a biology teacher just said to me like, well, we can't really prove what it does, and that made me lose all respect for her.
Oh.
That made me lose
It's
all
like
academic respect.
like, uh, it's like the whole "You can't disprove this, so it must be true"
Yeah,
thing. I'm like, no." Like, there's
and that's
correlation does not equal causation, and even, like, I okay, I'm not gonna get I'm not gonna get into it. My brain hurts trying to think.
I mean, feel free to go into it. I frequently go into like science and politics and
No,
such on my
it
streams,
just,
so
like, so, like, just the how common it is for just I'm gonna sound a little harsh, for weak-minded people to see any kind of correlation and assume that they are, related or have causation just because they can't comprehend that two data sets that are independent could have matching points. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's why
I actually
statistics can be so skewed to like represent any kind of like you can't use statistics. They
yeah.
are like to prove any kind of point, really.
On YouTube, H Bomber Guy did a deep analysis into it,
Hmm.
mostly based off of the work of an investigative journalist who like really went deep into the person who brought those conspiracies up.
Hmm.
And the the biggest thing that is causing the overlap in data is the age in which autism is usually measured in children is
Happens to be
this
around when
it's
vaccines
the
are
same
administered.
age,
So
yeah. But even
yeah,
when children don't take vaccines, that's still the same age that they develop, that they,
yes,
visibly show
yes.
autism symptoms.
But again, if you're only showing two data sets,
Yeah,
vaccination and autism, then it's easy to try. It's easy to make that like to demonstrate that point, but it doesn't mean anything.
yeah. Also, because this is a tangent I can go on really long. Um, because no, it's really fucking fascinating. So I don't remember the name.
There was like one doctor that like wrote
Yeah.
an article about it, and he was like discredited by everyone, but it's still like quoted and still
Oh, it
permeates
goes
this
deeper.
fucking mental. Yeah.
It goes so much deeper. That article was specifically about one specific vaccine,
Mm-hmm.
which was a
Yes.
combination vaccines for rubella. I can't remember like the English names for them. Rubella,
Mm-hmm.
measles, and another one. Um, I can't remember the name. I know the name in Dutch, but I don't know the name in English. But
Mm-hmm.
like getting those, used to be very common diseases, not anymore. Nowadays, you just
Mm-hmm.
get a shot for all three of them at the same time, and then
Yeah.
you're immunized against all of them. Very
Yeah.
common.
It's like there's like smallpox,
Yeah,
measles, probably. I'm
I
trying to
think.
think of the other ones that are in those boosters. I cannot
Yeah.
remember, but yeah,
Um,
continue.
but yeah, it was specifically about that one vaccine that would cause the issue, and it was, I think, specifically the rubella part of it that he
Hmm.
mentioned. That was an issue because what he mentioned is when you take those vaccines together, it's gonna cause a growth of disease in your stomach, and that results in autism, which is
Um,
not
um,
anywhere how any form
um,
of
like
developmental disorders
that,
works.
that's like there's like genetic markers for that you
Yeah,
can test. I think test for. It's not like you get a tummy ache and suddenly your brain changes.
yeah.
Come on.
Measles,
Ah,
rubella, and polio is the one,
polio. That's the one.
um, which also has like a shortened term for it, I believe. But yeah.
Well,
Now,
polio. It's poliomyelitis is the full name. Polio is the
right.
short form.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like a short for like the three of them together. But that's besides the
Oh,
point. Um,
okay.
because I don't know what term it is. Otherwise, I would have brought it up to seem smart, but I don't know, so I'm deliberately not bringing it up. Um, no, but the what's fascinating about this now, you might question what brings someone to write such an article. Now, can we agree in a pure hypothetical situation? And let's say this is pure hypothetical. Somebody got a patent for a vaccine for a disease, but um, that disease is frequently immunized by an already existing different vaccine. Would you say in that situation you would have a vested interest? Um, you would have a vested interest that would make it biased if you wrote an article about the dangers of that already
Oh,
existing vaccine. Purely
I
hypothetical.
see. Hypothetically, it's like, well, I just made this vaccine and my competitor already has one. What if I write an article saying that their vaccine causes autism?
Yeah. Hypothetically
Purely
speaking, if that
hypothetically,
happened,
yeah.
would you say that that would be immoral and medical malpractice?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, that did happen. That same that same scientist
Hmm.
does have that actual patent.
Oh, MMR, yes,
Yeah,
yes. Mumps,
right,
measles, and
mumps. Yeah,
rubella.
thank you, Paul, for pointing that out.
Yeah.
Um,
As soon as you wrote those three next to each other, I'm like, yeah, MMR
yeah,
is the acronym that
yeah.
you were looking for. That
Um,
you totally knew the whole time, but you didn't want to brag, right? You
yeah,
totally knew that it
totally.
was called the
I wanted
MMR.
to give Chad a chance to brag. I'm such a kind and generous goddess.
But But yeah, that's absolutely scummy and terrible.
Yeah. Um, the person who helped develop the vaccine as well, who has like co-written on all of those papers, believes he can cure autism with bone marrow. Not just
Um,
any bone marrow, but
um,
specifically an injection from his own bone marrow.
uh, so this man's bone marrow cures autism.
Yeah, like he
So
literally
so
like
so
he
this
gives it to
man's
people.
bone marrow has somehow developed a virus that can use CRISPR to modify the DNA to cause the brain to redevelop to not
Yeah,
be on ASD spectrum.
yeah,
I mean, that's impressive.
it totally
This guy
is.
must be rich.
Yeah, he's very senile. It's yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't want to go like too deep into what because like the video on it is like genuine. It's really good.
Mhm.
Especially because like and this is in general kind of like a trend with videos by
H
H
bomber
bomber
guy?
guy, but I go like
Oh,
really deep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I actually participated in one of his charity marathons
Oh,
a
was that the
few
Donkey Kong
years.
64 one?
I can't remember. It was my memory is terrible. I know that I was working with Ripley Violet and a few other people. And I just remember being, I just remember definitely being involved in some way, whether I participated or was just adjacent. I know I was there for one of them.
Yeah. I
But
mean, it's
yes,
like he did a
wonderful, wonderful
yeah
person.
he did a 57-hour Donkey Kong 64 like series of streams because he wasn't allowed to do it in one because Switch was getting mad.
Mhm.
Um, where he raised like I believe like the goal was I can't remember what the exact goal was, but they reached it like while he was prepping for stream. Like he was like
Jesus,
brushing his
like
teeth and
at the
was like, "I'll come
starting,
back in a
yeah,
bit."
starting soon screen. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
back. Like, oh well, he
like
did it.
didn't stream frequently at the time, so it was like, "Oh, I'll just kind of get this on, get people to go in, um,
Mhm.
and then like I'll join." Once I've prepped up my stuff, not many people will come in anyway. My audience is mostly YouTube, so they won't come to Twitch. And
Yep.
then like came back with a toothbrush in his mouth. Was like, what? How?
GG.
But yeah, that got really large because AOC joined at one point. Um,
Mhm.
well, Chelsea Manning joined, and then Chelsea Manning invited AOC on it.
Yeah.
Um, the voice actor who like did Donkey Kong, um, like said trans rights on it, on live on
Oh,
stream.
it's so good.
Multiple people who were like working on the game came on. I think like the
Mhm.
person with the soundtrack came on. Um,
Yeah.
Part of it, it did kind of like spawn the X says trans rights meme, which has
Yep.
kind of gone out of hand.
Yeah.
But like I can't remember the exact amount that was raised, but it was like a massive
It
amount.
was incredible.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chelsea Manning, I know for certain that I was on one of her fundraisers for her legal funds and stuff. She was streaming from prison at the time, and I actually helped her set up dual PC streaming while with the one PC being run in a virtual machine. So it was like routing the stream through essentially three operating systems.
Wow.
And I still have her phone number to this day. We text occasionally.
That's a major brag.
I like, yeah, a little bit. I like dropping that one on people. I'm like, yeah, I have Chelsea Manning's phone number.
Yeah, in the meantime, I think currently you're the most influential person I know
I I
based
just
on
work
that.
here.
No, it is
Yeah, like
sometimes like,
I've gotten to help out a couple. Like I've gotten to help Chelsea Manning, which makes me happy. I've also gotten to help one of my mainstream influences, Sean Plod, aka Day9 TV. I've helped him with stuff, and he actually got me out of a bind because he owed me a favor after helping him. So he helped get my account unbanned for being like mass reported and then getting banned for allegedly lingerie slash underwear in my profile picture. It was a crop top, by the way. Like it was not like
Yeah,
anything
nothing too
obscene.
bad. Yeah,
So I was like,
like
"They're
my
not,
character model
Sean,
was
help
wearing.
me, you owe me."
Yeah,
Yeah,
and thank you for the follow. Oh God,
mittens.
I'm gonna
Oh, hi
try
mittens.
and pronounce it properly. Um,
Koki Yoseki no Hana system.
Thank you for blowing the wind out of my sail.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so the
Thank
key
you,
to
one.
reading
Thank
that
you for the
is
follow.
don't accentuate any
Yeah,
syllable, and all the
yeah.
vowels are pronounced like the same.
Um, Koku Yoseki no Hana system. I think.
Yeah, I think you did it better than me because I was reading it like off the alert, so it was all like moving and stuff. It's like oh,
Fair.
and it was cut in half.
I mean, I'm presuming it looks like Japanese, like Latinized Japanese to
Yeah, we're
me.
like yeah,
Yeah,
Romanji.
right. Yeah, and like I know that the key to in saying it in Japanese is like not accenting anything because like you say the syllable very separate from the other syllables.
Mm, obsidian flowers. That's
That's a
beautiful.
wonderful term. Also, hello, Capture. Hope you're doing well. We have another guest on today. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, what were we
You
on
have
about?
15 ravens in a trench coat.
Hell yeah. So, in truth, there are 30 people live on stream right now.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's wonders of technology. Um, but yeah, speaking of fundraisers, I say as I'm trying to quickly come up with something similar to say. Thank you, Mittens the Percolator, for following. Um, but yeah, I've not been streaming for very long, so I haven't really got the chance to be part of much yet.
Mhm.
Um, I I've been streaming since I think it was March 20, like March this year. Um,
Hmm.
because the way I got into Twitch was I actually made a friend. Oh, first, the way I first got into Twitch years ago was when I started dating somebody who was a Twitch streamer.
Mhm.
Um, and then I just started watching Twitch because gotta support your partner and everything. But I
Yeah.
didn't before ever really watch. And then I stopped watching when the relationship fell apart, and then I made a friend who started streaming, or who was
Yeah.
streaming frequently. So I just kind of popped in there, and from that kind of connected with more and more streamers, and eventually was just like, um, eventually just reached a point where I figured like, hey, I'm really enjoying this community. I need to try and make my own.
Yeah.
So I eventually, like, when I got enough money for it, bought myself a decent enough PC to stream, and then it was just like, fuck it, we're playing Batman live on stream now. And somehow I ended up here, unfortunately, and everybody else has to deal with that.
No, streaming is a wonderful outlet, and I like that. It's an environment that you define the terms on within
Absolutely.
within TOS, of course.
Yeah.
But there's no rules other than don't do fucking a few things. Sorry, I swore again.
Oh, it's fine. It's marked as a mature stream, so swear as much as
But
you want.
yeah, yeah. So
I don't
not
fucking
all
hold back.
not not all combinations things are gonna be quote unquote successful. I know there's a lot of things I do that aren't like I don't stream for the numbers. I don't stream to be popular. I
Yeah,
stream just me being myself.
yeah, and I think that's
And
what's important.
yeah, and I think that's being increasingly common, and people tend to connect with that because like streaming at first to me my the way I interpreted streaming was like people showcasing high level gameplay or speedruns or anything like that. Like people showcasing a skill, not necessarily like it wasn't necessarily about the people. It was about like the game, because it was primarily a gaming platform. But
Yeah,
now there's just all manner of types of streams, types of content out there, and there's like there's a want and need for all of them now.
absolutely. I'm
And
quickly trying to
it's
look up someone who got mentioned. Ah, okay. It's not a.
oh oh yeah, Anarchos is
Yeah.
a
I
Neve streamer.
I thought at first it was a typo of the name of somebody I knew personally. So I was like, wait, if that's a connection, that would be great. But no, unfortunately, it's not. Can't make that connection. But like, I know someone who is like just a few letters off.
But yeah, like we all have a platform now.
Yeah,
We all have a voice.
I think what I also like, what I really love about it is, you can make your own, you can make your own community, and it like very much forms around what you put in. Um,
Hmm.
so like I try and make a community around like being supportive, mental health, being a place that can be safe for everyone. And I feel like how I've noticed that can really carry over to how the people who are frequently in chat behave, how people in the server behave. Um, some of the communities that I'm in that kind of build themselves in a similar way can become really comforting and very comfortable place. While similarly, you see a lot of other creators online who seemingly put no care into what their community is like, just create the most toxic places in existence.
Hmm. That's the unfortunate side effect of having an open platform is that it can be used for good or for evil.
Yeah, that's unfortunately quite a lot of people who choose to use it for
Mm.
evil, and it's very hard to see any form of recompense for that.
Mhm.
I think there's
But
like,
like I don't necessarily fault the platform for that.
oh
People
no, yeah,
should be able to express their viewpoints, good or like valid or invalid. I don't think that censoring is a good idea, but I do think that um when it's used to organize harassment and hate, that is where I would draw a line.
yeah. I mean, I feel like in general there should be terms of service to using things that provide a platform. Like if you're directly installing violence or being violent with your platform, that's a point when you shouldn't have access to the services anymore. Um,
Mhm.
but I feel like outside of that, um, the solution should be community.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
like as a community taking a stand. But I've seen so many, um, like so many creators who like extremely fucked up, who've like done extremely horrible things, who then just go like, yeah, I want to move on, I want to grow from this, and then like because it's a cis white guy, immediately the word gets taken on it and they get forgiven.
Yep. And it's irritating. And even as a trans woman, I still have to constantly check my privilege when it comes to things, because yes, I'm white and I'm a girl, and I still get a lot of things take like I still tend to take a lot of things for granted and get a lot more leeway for things than others wouldn't, and I hate it.
Yeah,
Like, yes, I am trans, I am neurodivergent, I am in marginalized groups, but that doesn't exempt you from having degrees of privilege still.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
like we need to constantly be aware of that and check ourselves. And I encourage you to do that yourself, you in the general wide term. Like, sure, there are things that like you will have detriments, you have, but you still have, you likely still also have some things you do take for granted, and being aware of those will help you be be a better you and be a better person.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's
Mm.
I also just feel
Like
in general,
even just the privilege of living somewhere that you can freely express things is a huge privilege that you need to
yeah,
be aware of.
the fact that I can be out about so many things. Um, but like I think a lot of people also like, especially people who have a lot of privilege, tend to misunderstand it because it's not
Mhm.
like you know. Mostly, we're just asking people to be aware of the way their privilege affects them.
Mhm.
Because by design, privilege is invisible to all of those who benefit from it.
Mhm.
Because if you were aware
Yeah.
of it, you wouldn't use it.
Yeah, things you take for granted, like, is privilege, like, things
Yeah,
that are there that you don't think about, that's privilege, like, it's about using the words that they can comprehend to associate it with it, because they hear privilege and they think of something they were given. Because, like, I was always told, "It's a privilege to have a game console or a guitar," or whatever. I'm like, "Yeah, those are things that were given to me, but also privilege are things that you already have that you don't know you have, things you take for granted."
yeah. And I think it's also like some people can't imagine, you know, making the playing grounds equal without taking things away from other people.
Mhm.
Like there are some people who don't see a way to end racism except for taking power away from white people. But like at the
Taking
end of the
away your
day,
power to be racist?
yeah, but like at the end of the day, the average person won't notice a change. You know,
Exactly.
the only people who would meaningfully see change are people who are malignantly using the power. Because
Mhm.
everybody else, it doesn't really matter that much. You know,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, most people still want what's best for everyone.
Yeah, and it comes down to lack of knowledge in a lot of cases too. It's like people aren't knowledgeable, they aren't aware, they don't have the information to like to just to know and have an actual proper opinion on things or come to fully informed conclusions.
Yeah,
And like I've always been of the opinion that knowing something is always better than not knowing something, even if like knowing the thing might upset you at first.
true. Very much true from experience.
Mhm.
Because it's also like, I mean, that's going into my heavier topics, but when you live in ignorance too long, eventually the truth coming out will hurt even more than if it came out at first.
Yes. That can be applied to so many situations. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
mental health as well.
Mhm.
But yeah,
We've got some talk about the Scottish government trying to make some COVID laws permanent.
yeah, I have no idea what the context there is.
Well, I'm curious.
Capture one informants. What is the extent of the context of the law? In the meantime, I'm gonna Google it to see.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
State has hit
That
3
is
million cases. That's that's so many. It's more than people I know. Like just put it in perspective, more people have died um just in general of this disease than people will
there. I
know.
found an article. Government seeks to make emergency COVID powers permanent. The Scottish government wants to keep powers, including the ability to order schools to close and impose lockdowns. Do you mind if do you want me to read the article
No, yeah, go ahead. No
or
problem.
or
No
skim it?
problem.
Okay. Uh, Ministers are considering changing the law to permanently allow them to release prisoners early or permit a wider range of healthcare professionals to give vaccinations. They are seeking the public's views on removing the planned expiry date for many of the temporary measures, with Deputy First Minister John Swinney arguing that some of the changes have had a demonstrable benefit to the people of Scotland. Majority of the government's current powers introduced during the pandemic are due to elapse in March 2022, although they can be extended by 6 months with Holyrood's backing. But the consultation published by the government wants to make many permanently available, claiming it would ensure ministers can respond effectively and rapidly to any future threats to public health in Scotland. Okay, so what I'm reading is like they basically want the ability to they want the ability to lawfully make these decisions all the time
Yeah,
rather than them losing the ability to just lock things down
yeah.
after I assume
Seems like that.
things probably took a while to get moving, which is maybe why the cases are so bad
Yeah,
due to just the way the laws work.
I think when you think that happened in like most countries where um the, there was they just didn't know like what's the proper procedure.
Hmm.
I think my question is like, what are the checks and balances, and
That
like
is absolutely a concern. Yeah.
who can request those powers and when will they be enacted? Um, like, is it a situation where literally any minister can say, police officer, quarantine the street at any point, or is it a situation where that there is a plan in place, and if Parliament agrees by vote, by parliamentary vote on this is we need to enact these restrictions again, it gets
The
implemented
thing, this
a lot
article
quicker.
keeps coming back to the early release of prisoners very often.
That's surprising. Kind of
Yeah.
comes across as if it,
I think people convicted of violent crimes are excluded. Domestic violence, harassment,
yeah,
or COVID-related offenses are automatically excluded.
yeah. I
But
mean, to be fair, like
yeah.
if what someone did was steal something, do you really want them to die of a disease for it?
Mhm.
They don't.
I
At that
understand
point,
that. Like,
give
I'm
them
not against
community
it
service.
because yeah, like
Yeah,
we can
I
talk
mean,
for like hours on the corrupt prison system and how
yeah,
bullshit a lot of it is, but like
I'm a prison
basically the
abolitionist.
proposal is therefore to give the Scottish ministers the same powers to protect the people of Scotland from any incidents or spread of infection or contamination which presents or could present significant harm to human health in Scotland, not just COVID.
Yeah,
Basically, they want so I guess a lot of measures were put into effect purely because of COVID, because they didn't have any like
yeah.
pandemic epidemic procedure prior to COVID. So it's kind of like they want to
They
maintain the
they
ability to
they
do that.
realized we were not prepared for this. Let's say make sure we are prepared.
Okay. So I'm
Yeah,
not totally against it. Just the way
yeah.
it's worded sounds
It
really sketchy.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like how many of those news articles are like kind of inherently um clickbaity because they're saying, oh, these measures could become permanent, but like that's not what's being discussed. The
No.
ability to like
To
the
quickly
ability by the
respond
government
to
to
yeah, to
apply
virulent
these
diseases and stuff.
restrictions are permanent, but it's not saying that
Yeah.
they're gonna make the restrictions permanent. There's a
Yeah.
difference between calling a lockdown at any time and always being in a lockdown. They're two
Mhm.
very different things.
Yeah. Yeah. So like upon reading this and again, I've only researched this one article.
Yeah,
So like just it
yeah,
definitely is not a like definitely was clickbaity sounding
yeah.
because
Just also in
yeah.
general, to everybody in chat as well, keep in mind all news is biased and all news is propaganda,
Yes.
including everything said on this stream. I have a
Yeah,
political
absolutely.
bias and my own political views. Therefore, everything that I say politically is propaganda. And anybody who tells you that they aren't spouting propaganda, you cannot trust because they are lying.
I mean, I'm a like I'm pretty apolitical. I'm basically like I'm a humanist.
Yeah,
But like again, I have my ideals, I have my motives. So again, everything I say is going to be driven by those. So like yes, I have an agenda even
yeah,
whether I'm actively trying to pursue it or not, it still affects everything I say, everything I do.
yeah. I think my personal stance is like just having a view different from the norm instantly makes me extremely political. Um,
Yes.
so, for example, I want everybody to be equal. That is a politically controversial statement nowadays.
Well, not everyone is equal. Everyone is
Yeah.
different, but you want
Well,
everyone
yeah,
to
but
have equal
under the law,
opportunity, I think is kind of yeah.
everybody recognizes equal under the law and within the community of equal value.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
Equity versus equality.
Yeah. But like, still, like within that general point, you know, I believe trans women or trans people in general should be allowed to transition. Um,
Mhm.
I was trying to make some sense as I was saying, as a trans woman, I'm political and I believe in trans rights, which is political.
Yep.
Um, but like, I believe, non-binary people should be politically recognized, and I don't hold
Yeah.
those from a political standpoint. I just hold those as,
It's a
personal
human
philosophical
standpoint.
view. Yeah,
Yeah.
because of my human empathy for other people. And,
Yeah.
those become politically controversial points because people are disagreeing to the point that they are willing to bring political action into it.
Take care, capture. Be good, be safe, take care of yourself.
Don't get injured again.
Don't get yeah, don't do that.
But yeah, um, I do. I tend to be very outspoken on my politics on my stream, mostly because
Mhm.
I feel like, especially with mental health, it's so deeply grained into politics nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
I
for
try so
example,
hard not to be political, but it's just like it still happens.
yeah, if I lived in the UK or the US, um, and like I actually managed to get a DID diagnosis, and I was in the emergency service, like in the emergency care unit or immediate
Mhm.
care, emergency care in the ICU, and I needed
Mhm.
an organ transplant, and there would be the doctors would be legally allowed to just go, oh, these out of these diagnoses, we're better off not giving her a transplant.
Ooh.
And in many countries, that's legally allowed.
Ooh.
Not even because of
That
like,
hurts.
yeah, not even because of looking into like, oh, like this person like stated they don't want to live or like has it so tough, but just like, oh, the diagnosis exists, or they must have such a miserable life.
Oh, without any like no knowledge, no investigation, no research, like just
Yeah,
write off. Just
I mean,
written
I
off.
I don't know how frequently it happens, but
Just the fact that it's
I've been
legally
in,
viable.
I've been informed that there are places where it is legally possible, and it is sometimes done. To be fair, sometimes it's done because it's like we have one organ and we have two patients who need it.
The fact
Um,
that I mean I can understand to a degree that it could be a decide like there are a lot of factors that go
yeah,
into
like
just
do you
where
give it?
organs go.
Yeah, do you give it to the 90-year-old who will probably live like another 2 years, or do you give it to the 15-year-old?
Mhm.
Like, sure, okay, like there are situations where you know you might need
Where
to make
hard
such a
decisions need
decision.
to be made, yeah.
Yeah, and
Until we can grow organs,
yeah,
like those decisions are going to have to be made and some like obviously there are like exclusionary diagnosis and criteria like are they like are they an addict, do they self-harm, all these things like there's a lot of things but the fact that DID can be used as an exclusionary diagnosis like that and like that
yeah, many personality
blows my
disorders too.
mind.
It's just like, and it's in part because I can't remember exactly when it was, but like um the definition of DID in the DSM is constantly being upgraded, and it's
Yeah.
only made more and more exclusionary, and it's to the point where I genuinely believe that I will never be able to get a diagnosis because I
Mhm.
do not suffer enough.
Yeah.
Because I have been
That's
forced to live with my condition for so many years, and just like, you know
You've adapted
metaphoric
to it.
yeah, like metaphorically thrown into the deep end of the pool, and I learned to swim. And because of that, I don't suffer enough for people to diagnose me with what's going on.
It's awful.
Yeah, and it makes getting treatment so difficult because I tried calling um, like in the Netherlands, like an organization that was built around being a support group for it. Um,
Mhm.
I since found a way better one, but the bad one that I called was like, "Hold on, do you have an official diagnosis?" I was like, "No, I'm trying to ask if you can help me get one." Yeah, if you don't have the diagnosis, you shouldn't call because you don't know whether or not you have. And like I just started listing off, okay, I have this, and this.
These are my
Oh yeah,
symptoms.
that sounds like it. Yeah. Yeah, then
Mhm.
shut up. I want to get a psychologist who can help me. Can you help?
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah,
I recently applied for a program called ECTT, the Assertive Community Treatment Team. And according to all the stuff I read, basically, I'll read a little line here. The ACTT is a client-centered, recovery-focused mental health service for people with serious and persistent mental health illnesses. ACTT services are delivered by multidisciplinary mental health staff who work as a team to provide treatment, rehabilitation, and support services to clients in achieving their goals. Sounds great.
yeah,
Um, so I applied. I called them to check on the status of my referral, and they were like, "So you wrote that you have borderline personality disorder, among other things, and that's an exclusionary diagnosis. We prioritize people with schizophrenia, which is also I also have that on the list." But they were like, "Yeah, you wrote this, so
yeah.
like, hmm,
I've been googling for therapists that would be able to help me, and some of the ones that I found that specialize in dissociative disorders have autism as a exclusionary um, diagnosis.
yeah." And like on one hand, I understand you can only treat so many people, you have limited
Yeah,
resources, but like I had no impressions from what I read and research I put into this that that would be an issue. So I was pretty excited about it. Now my excitement and my hope is like greatly diminished as for whether or not this is going to pull through or not. Like she did say like yeah, like this is an exclusionary diagnosis. This is not a no, and they're gonna refer me to a couple other programs as well that have shorter waiting lists because the waiting list is like a year and a half for
mm,
this one. So they're gonna refer me to other things in the meantime too. That you know the reason I wanted this one is because it's all of the things in one. They have psychiatrists, psychologists, addiction specialists, occupational therapists, counselors, all of that as a team, rather than seeing all of those specialists individually. And all of these ones work together and communicate with each other on your case,
yeah,
which sounds fucking amazing.
yeah,
'Cause that's the one
um,
downside. If you can be seeing multiple people, but usually they're not talking to each other.
yeah. In
So I was
between
like
beans, what
really
the fuck?
excited
Thank you
for
for the
this.
follow. Yeah, I got a referral to like a similar team. Because like what happened with me with my psychology is I was working with a good psychologist who worked from a clinic. Um, and that one eventually went to a new workplace. So had to, end that care and I would be transferred to another psychologist within the same organization. Um, and I was told that I would get to work with a psychologist and with a social worker. And then I only got
Mhm.
conversation with a social worker who was basically just ignoring my symptoms.
Mhm.
Um, and I got into a situation. I eventually asked, like, "Hey, I was told I would ask a psychologist." And the social worker was like, "No, that's up to me to decide." And
Mm.
I just said to like, "Yeah, but you're not helping me.
Yeah.
You're just like one of my issues is due to severe nightmares. I don't wake up in time and I don't get enough rest.
Mhm.
Solution: go to bed earlier.
So I can have my nightmares earlier and still not get enough rest and then be awake
Yeah,
earlier?
and like, how is that meant to solve it? Like,
No,
and like, I could just tell, like, completely ignoring everything that I talked about myself and just being like, here are the basic steps. Have you like the essential of have you tried drinking enough water?
Yes. Yes, I've tried drinking enough water.
Hey doctor, my neck fell off yesterday. What should I do? Have you been drinking enough water? Did you take your vitamins? I don't think that's relevant.
Yeah.
um, but like I got really mad about it, and like it reached a point where I left the therapy sessions like more distressed than I went into them.
I mean,
Um,
so drinking water does not like not drinking enough water has a hugely adverse effect on the body, but still like the fact that it's like I'm not sleeping enough because of nightmares. Have you tried getting more sleep?
yeah,
I'm like,
essentially,
Have you?
and
It's like, have you tried not having nightmares?
yeah, and like I
It's
reached, yeah.
ugh,
Have you tried not being sick?
exactly, exactly.
Um,
Like,
yeah.
fuck.
So I made I complained. I requested to speak. Like it was like a higher psychologist and was like kind of overlooking the situation, but didn't actually ever talk to me. So
Mm,
I kind of requested with that, like, hey, like I want to be transferred because I don't feel like I'm being helped.
mhm.
So I got to talk with that psychologist, and I mentioned like I am certain that like I experienced traumatic post-traumatic stress. Not saying it as in like I have PTSD, but like I experienced trauma. Um,
Mhm.
and was like, "Oh, what? Tell me what all your traumas are then," which put
Okay.
me on the spot. But
Oh.
I did go, well, this stuff happened with my parents, and that's how I feel about it. This stuff happened with an abusive partner, and that's how I feel about it. Um, my life was like threatened multiple times by a former housemate. That's what that it did to me. And like with everything, basically just said like, um, oh, that's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I want to
That's
reiterate
mm,
that was after I had been on a psych ward for a suicide attempt, which was
yeah.
on file, and she would know about because it happened while I was in care at that establishment. She would
Oh.
know if she read my
Mhm.
file. So like clearly there is something there. Um,
Like
yeah.
that reminds me. So a couple of weeks ago, I was admitted to the hospital for overdosing, and like I don't remember going there. I remember a couple seconds of being restrained, ankle and wrist to the bed, and I remember a little bit of my discharge interview, talking with a psychiatrist, psychologist about, or even I don't know if it was a crisis counselor, but either way, they were talking with me about like, should I be admitted to the ward, or like, do they am I a danger to myself? Um, I was absolutely a danger to myself. I absolutely should have been admitted. I did not trust myself to come home and be safe. Luckily, I didn't stay at home. I went to stay with partners to watch over me for the which is why I was not home for 2 weeks. But if she had looked at my file, she would have known that earlier this year I overdosed and was admitted to hospital and was in the ward for this exact same thing, not a couple months prior.
Yeah.
But apparently we talked ourselves out and just walked out that day. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Did you read my file? Do you know how
That
many times I've been in this exact hospital?"
yeah. I I ended up being sent out because there was like no noticeable like psychological reason why.
Mhm.
Um, because it was like for me the entire reason was like an unsafe living environment with my parents. So I was sent back to my parents. Um, to be fair to like the ward, I wasn't sent back until I agreed to it because it wasn't a voluntary was voluntarily sent there. Um, but we essentially just had a few conversations with my parents and then like was agreed, oh, somebody will come by to keep an eye on the situation. Then I was sent back,
Mhm.
and that on hindsight, was not good enough.
Mhm.
Nope, that was not a good enough solution. But yeah, I like that psychologist who asked me about my trauma. Then I left feeling unsafe about,
Mhm.
um, to the point that I just did not plan new appointments because why bother? Um, then I was discussing it with the counselors that I worked with for my social housing, who were going to arrange a conversation. They said, um, so it kind of like I stayed on hold for a while. Then the pandemic happened, or is still that's still happening.
Mhm.
Pandemic started. I arranged like a video call because I during the pandemic rediscovered our plurality. So
Mhm.
arranged a video call to talk about that. I was basically told, "Oh, you only have one soul. So if you just act
Oh.
as if you aren't plural, it will all go away."
Have you tried not being sick?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Oh.
Um, since then and she then like said like, "Oh, well, if you think this trauma, here are some like online resources you can use."
Here's Wikipedia.
No, I mean they were like provided by like they were like exercises on the um like organization,
Have have
but
you
it,
tried
but
pseudoscience?
it's like yeah, exactly. But I just kind of sat there and like, if I could solve this myself from behind my PC, I would have already. And
Yeah.
if you read my file, you know that I'm horrible at doing stuff by myself. If there isn't like outside incentive to it, that's one of the reasons I want to go on therapy, because the schedule of it and the fact that it's like on a set date and a set time every single time gives me a rhythm that allows me to work on it, which I can't do if I'm doing it at home from my PC, because why bother at that point?
Yeah, it's what do they think we're doing in our spare time? Do they think we want to be this way and we're not actively trying to
That
pursue things on
psychologist,
our own?
that
Like,
psychologist genuinely, even as I sat there asking like, can you help me? Like, because like there were multiple conversations after that with the counselors and everything present, in which he just said like, I don't think that you're putting in enough effort to healing yourself, because I wasn't making enough progress, um, which is already one red flag. She thinks it was like there's like a certain amount of progress that you need to make, and because I didn't meet that, I clearly wasn't putting in enough effort.
so you asking for help because you can't do something on your own is a sign that you aren't trying hard enough.
Yep,
And
and
how do these people have jobs? They're supposed to be helping
yeah,
people, and what they're telling
what?
you is that you need to do better.
Why the fuck would you go into
I
psychology
hear
with that mindset?
I can get that info from any person on the street.
Yeah,
Why are you in the mental health profession if all you can contribute to the conversation is, "Oh, you should just try harder."
I discovered
How about you do
afterwards.
your job and help me?
Yeah,
Give
um,
give me tools to help myself. Help me with this.
yeah. Within the Netherlands, there's an organization for official customer complaints of psychologists. Then I kind of
Mhm.
helps, and like when it reaches the point that you can't talk it up personally anymore, you can get them involved. But
Mhm.
it's only with psychologists who sign up for it. The vast majority of psychologists are. This one wasn't.
Mhm.
And I wonder fucking why.
Mhm.
But yeah, because of the way how those conversations went, I was blacklisted from that organization.
Ugh.
So I couldn't go to the largest medical center within like one of the tiniest regions of the country that I lived in.
Hmm.
There were no other organizations in the region that took patients. But luckily I moved now, and I'm waiting until the local um, like clinic calls me back.
Mhm. I as a society, as a culture, as a species, we really need to do better.
We live in a society. We really
Yeah.
do.
If we can't just cater to, like, the people that fit in and function, we need to cater to the people that can't. We're letting ourselves down.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's as well, like, if we look at some of the oldest civilizations, like, it has always been the case where, um, the community cares for those within the community who can't care for themselves. So the
Mhm.
elderly, the disabled, were all just like, you know, okay, you can't do certain things. That's fine. We'll handle it for you. And that
Mhm.
was a strength that the human species had because we could form those communities for it. Um, like for generations, we can, like, as we've been looking at um, cemeteries, like analyzing the bodies buried in it, we came to the discovery that in most civilizations, those who had like physical disabilities, because you can't measure mental disability based on the bone as much
Mhm.
as some very weird people online might claim you can. Um, but they were all just like treated the same because like they were not like ostracized or pushed out the way you would kind of expect. Um,
Mhm.
and it's only really like around when capitalism started dominating economics. Strangely, it's around that time that disability started being seen as like an unfavorable thing. But like
Mhm.
that's so recent in human memory. That's such a recent change.
Mhm.
But yeah, I try and be hopeful myself. I try and be hopeful that we can overturn all of those developments, and like we can create a society in which
Well, like, if we
people are
think about
treated
it,
fair.
it changed rather quickly. Like, it's a recent
Yeah,
development that happened pretty quickly, and it can just as easily swing in the other direction.
yeah,
We just need to, try for it, push for it.
absolutely,
We can't just be sedentary and sit here and expect things to change or want things to change. We need to facilitate that change.
absolutely. And I do, I have faith that we will get there, or that change is going to happen.
Mhm.
I believe in general. I tend to believe in the general goodness of the universe and people in it.
Mhm.
Most people are very good.
Yeah. But just most people think that one person can't make a difference. But the thing is, many one people can make a difference.
Yeah, and it's
Just
like
you
human
need the
strength
first
comes from
person. You just need the first person to stand up,
yeah,
and the rest will follow.
and like human strength comes from community. That's the best
Absolutely.
tool we
We are
have.
defined by telling stories, communication.
Yeah,
Like, that's who we are as a species. We are storytellers. We are communicators. That is the thing that set us apart. The ability to communicate complex things.
yeah. And it's also like most art in general comes from that same need,
Mhm.
to share our experiences. And like basically almost everything that's good in the world comes from, or everything good that we as people have created at least, comes from that need to share and to build a community and to communicate.
Mhm. Yeah, like we may have lost a lot to evolution to develop this trait, but it's our defining feature and we need to embrace that.
Yeah. I mean, like the ability to, reproduce by split cell division is kind of a useful power we lost. Would have been great if we still had that, but
Yeah,
we
just
lost it
let me
so
just
early in the
mitosis. Let
evolution
me just
tech tree.
mitosis.
Yeah,
I'll
we
just
lost it
split
so
in
early in
half.
the evolution tech tree. I think we
I
need to
mean,
go
that's the
back
thing
to a
though. Like
very
we
old save.
are, we yeah. Just reload the first autosave. Let's go.
I mean, I have them all backed
But
up on
like,
my hard drive, don't you?
I wish. Oh gosh, but yeah, the thing is, like, we are multicellular organisms. We are a living thing comprised of many small, simple living things. It's kind
Yeah,
of crazy to think about.
and as a system in more than one way.
Yes, it's like at the basic cellular level, and then there's specialized cells that create smaller systems within the human condition. Like we are several levels of complexity, and
Yeah,
it is fascinating.
you heard it there first, people. Plurality
We're
is
all
the way of the
systems.
future.
And it's also just crazy to think about. Like we see ourselves as like more or less permanent things, but all of ourselves are splitting, dividing, and dying constantly.
Yeah,
We are absolutely different in one moment to the next.
and I personally, lots of people get really, and I wonder if that might in part be like why I experience that so different from most people. But like when most people hear that, they get very existential dread from it. But like
Mm,
I love that fact. It inspires
hmm
me so much.
absolutely.
Like I kind of remember having this really profound realization. Um, like when I was like a teenager, where I just saw like this really old person, um, and just like at a bus stop, and just kind of had the realization of like, as much as you know that person exists now, there have been countless other people before it. Um, in the sense of like this person has been so many other people throughout their life. Like
Hmm
been a child at one point, has been a teenager, has been someone's love, has been someone's best friend, and like in
hmm
so many ways, um, how all of that has changed can actually be really beautiful.
Yeah, it's profound.
Yeah,
It's like unfathomable. Like it's really hard for an individual to see another as a full person with full
yeah,
experience and layers and life because we can't generally comprehend that much data. So we categorize, we simplify, and we don't even think about it. We see a person and then they are who they are at that moment, and that is just who they are. They're the
yeah.
cashier at the Wendy's. They're the old lady at the bus stop. That's but people are more than there's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own lives, their loves, losses, happiness, sadness. There's a whole person there.
And in some
And
cases,
each
multiple
person
people.
is a whole yeah, in some cases multiple people. And just the amount of stories that like just if I can sit here and have everyone tell me their whole life story, I would be happy forever.
Yeah,
Like but we can't handle that much information. Like
unfortunately we can't.
that's one of our limits.
But that's also
And we
one of
can
the
do our
ways.
best to keep that in mind though.
But that's also one thing where I think community is so great because every basically every human limit that we have, we can overcome with a strong community. You know,
Yes.
the limit of our memory, while a community can carry so many more memories that a singular person can't.
Even
It's
after our memories are long gone
yeah,
dead, things you can persist
and it's
in memories, in stories.
and beauty can be born from that. Like, you know, cultures that used to have an oral tradition developed poetry because poetry helped them memorize everything that they needed to recall. You know, it's a lot easier when you need to remember like a 1,000 word story if all of it rhymes.
Mhm.
Because if you can get all of it to rhyme and to follow like a satisfying poetic rhythm, it's so much easier to recount it and to retell it every time. And
Absolutely, like,
yeah,
we use mnemonic devices way more often than we think we do.
yeah. And from that fact, from that need of people to share their story and to build onto it and to expand it, and as these stories got larger and larger and more complicated, we got myths, we've got mythology, we got religions from it, we got art. A lot of art nowadays comes from the very same myths and stories and legends that used to start by people telling a story to their community, to their families.
Mhm.
Like how many books nowadays, how many movies, how many games have a narrative that when you look at it is essentially a repackaging from mythology. And all of that started at one point somewhere with a community.
It's beautiful. Like, there is so much beauty that we create. There's even just in mundane things, like, there's so much depth if you look for it, and I think we've lost that eye for it. Like, just in the complexity of simplicity.
Yeah,
We as again, I use we in the whole humanity thing.
yeah. As a
We've
global. Yeah,
yeah, we've lost we want more, but we don't look for what we already have. We don't look for the depth of what we already have and what's already there. We
yeah,
just want something constantly want something new and more and more and more, and we forget that we have everything. It's all there. You just have to look for it.
yeah. And I think it's mostly just like my personal like grievance sometimes is how sometimes there's a push for the things that don't build to anything, you know?
Mhm.
Like Jeff Bezos going into space in no way benefits society.
No,
Um,
absolutely not.
and like it probably doesn't even benefit Bezos that much. I don't think Jeff Bezos has like the life, honestly, I just don't think he has a life perspective to really appreciate what all of that would mean going into space. But like all of the investments for it could be, in order to make that happen, could be spent on so many wonderful things that would help
Mhm.
so many people.
Like, it's so selfish and self-centered, self-focused. Like, I understand wanting to go to space.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I want
wanna
to
go
go
to
to
space,
space. Space is
but,
awesome.
like yeah, but if the cost of that is, even lowballing it, the amount of money that went into just this man saying, "I wanna go to space," and then going to space, the impact that could have had on the world, that money used in other places is
Yeah,
unfathomable, and there's, like, no way to look at this and not just that just feels evil.
yeah. I mean, have you ever? One thing that makes me feel so like one thing that feels so evil is whenever people talk about overpopulation, um,
Mhm.
because people will make the narrative of like, oh, the world is overpopulated. There's like not enough food and too many people.
Okay,
That's a
it's not a matter
lie.
of not enough food, it's a matter
Yeah,
of shit is not
it's like
distributed properly,
yeah,
and, like,
it it's a
we
straight up
have
lie.
the
There is
ability. We
enough.
have the ability to do it, yes.
There is
The problem
definitely
is
enough.
there's overpopulation in societies that are not able to sustain those things, but as a species, we should be working as one, not as just small groups that are self-centered and self-focused. Why are we fighting against each other?
Yeah,
But again, that is a product of our own making, unfortunately.
yeah,
But also, we have the power to undo that.
absolutely.
If but the selfish people with all of the money and all of the privilege and all of the opportunity don't want to give any of that up. Even though giving up a fraction of it will not affect them in the slightest and will help innumerable people.
Yeah, it's like mostly just because it's like we live in a society that is built by the rich and powerful to benefit the rich and powerful,
Mhm.
and there is no need for that. How? Like economically speaking, um, most things that don't directly, you know, if we just look at like a country's economy, the choices that benefit the rich do not benefit the broader economy,
Mhm.
which is like the best. Like at that point, what's yeah,
What's the point?
yeah,
Like nobody okay, I'm being broad again. It is uncommon for people to think beyond themselves.
yeah, and like
And
as
like
I stand, I think most people can. I think we just need to teach it to people again.
cuz the only reason these people can effectively be so self-centered is because of the foundation of community and togetherness and working together. Like none of this would exist if everyone was selfish and self-centered like this.
Yeah,
We've created a place where that can thrive. Unfortunately,
yeah.
the safety that we have created is now hurting us
Unfortunately, yeah,
because yeah, it's allowed certain kinds of people to thrive that aren't benefiting the the species.
unfortunately.
And this is almost probably defined as one of the like the great filters, even if you want to get into that conversation.
Great filters. I'm not familiar with the
Or
term.
basically, they are theoretical filters on cultures and societies' growth and evolution.
Right,
And
right.
one of the filters is like, will an intelligent species eventually like destroy itself? And like, why aren't there a large number of intelligent species out there? Why haven't we observed them? And the concept of the great filters is a way to explain why there aren't more, because life is not shouldn't be that unique. So like how many intelligent species have risen to a certain point and then disappeared? And what could
Yeah,
cause that? Like a great filter could be defined as like, we get to a certain point and we implode. Just
yeah,
it's like near inevitable.
yeah. I am like, and as a person, I am like an eternal optimist,
Mhm.
where I genuinely like hold the position that things that are capable of getting better always will.
Mhm.
Like no matter how bad like capitalism gets, no matter how bad climate change gets, um, there will be a point where, as a society, we break free from like the shackles that prevent us from doing so, and you know, like bring forward the change that we need. The question is just how long will it take us to get there?
Mhm.
Yeah, so to quickly go over chat maybe. Um, I wanted to say to, I hope I'm saying this correctly, and write it as I'm saying that we get a raid. Midi, thank you for the raid. Gonna quickly go through my list. Midi, what did you do on your stream today? How did it go? And did you eat macaroni today? all wonderful questions. Answers on the postcard, please. Um, Thank you to all the readers coming in. Um, Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Feel free to stick around. We're currently doing the Trisscast, a sort of very unprofessional podcast that I host, and today we have a guest on called V. Goes by she, her
Hi,
pronouns. V is absolutely
welcome,
lovely.
Raiders.
Um,
I want
um,
macaroni now too.
if you can, please consider dropping a follow, and I'm gonna quickly get the link. First, double check this is the right link. Yes, and if you can, here is the Twitch channel of our lovely guest today. If you can, please go over and drop a follow for her as well.
Thank you.
And it's wonderful to see you all here. Also, if you came joining as part of the raid, please click my profile picture twice so Twitch knows that you're actually a viewer and not a bot. Um, but yeah, wonderful to have you all here. Hello,
Yeah.
Harvey. How are you doing? Um, and also to because I wanted to answer a message in chat. Um, Kokiyaseki, thank you very much for the kind words. I do my best to make my streams a relaxing and comfortable place. So I hope you enjoy spending time here.
I certainly do.
I'm glad to hear it. That was gonna be all I originally wanted to say, and then we got a raid right as I was gonna say it.
I'm sorry you had internet issues. I'm just gonna say Ruby because I don't know proper names, so I'll just use switch names. I'm really sorry to hear that. Tech issues are the worst. I hate when things are out of my control and they're preventing me from doing the things I want to do.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I moved and got my own router now. But
Hmm.
and I am sorry to hear that the stream fell through. Because Midi does some really awesome streams that I think people should check out. Hint, hint, people in chat
Absolutely.
follow the person who rated us.
Hmm. Already done.
Good. Um, but yeah, I completely lost my train of thought with the raid. As is tradition, we're keeping up the channel tradition of
This
putting the
is the way.
professional in unprofessional. I'm gonna make that my tagline now. I know a good topic to talk about: space.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't love space?
I'm surprised you didn't see the Kurzgesagt video about great filters because you mentioned watching that channel.
Did I mention watching Kurzgesagt?
I think so.
I mean, I don't think I dropped their name. I used to watch them a lot. I don't watch them as much anymore.
Hmm.
I can't remember why exactly.
I mean, there are plenty of. So basically, the great filter is the counter, like an a theorized answer to the Fermi paradox.
Right.
So, like, it's definitely worth
Yeah. I am familiar
looking
with
into.
Fermi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to watch Kurzgesagt more again. I think I reached a point where life got very um how do you say it? I used the word like a bit ago. Um I don't want
Hmm.
to say dark, but like
I can understand. Like, I've
yeah,
had points where I definitely had a point similar to that where I was reading, I think, Stephen Hawking's most recent book, and the topic of scientific determinism
yeah,
really kind of hit me hard and made me really depressed for a while.
yeah.
And I was just like, I can't ingest any more of this for a while.
Yeah, I spent like a very long period of my life where I was like very much in like the dark pits where I, you know, believed life was meaningless and everything, and
Nihilistic.
I kind of exited that with my very positive mindset that I um try and have and that I try and spread to other people. Um, it's very much like kind of as a result of going through that because I don't want to be in that space anymore mentally.
Mhm.
Don't want to be in
Yeah.
that mindset anymore. So I'm trying to instead breed positivity
Mhm. And
and breed
that's kind
positively.
of, yeah, positive nihilism.
Yeah, I I'm like
We define our perception
yeah,
to a degree. We can define how things are interpreted. We can really guide and shape our experience.
I get
There is no meaning to anything other than the meaning we assign.
absolutely, and that's I think what makes life so wonderful.
Mhm.
And like I mentioned, it kind of gave me this profound feeling that the world is inherently like the universe and people in it are inherently positive. Um,
Mhm.
to the point that I like genuine like normally I'm atheist, but like if somebody were
Mhm.
to really press me like what do I believe like spiritually and metaphysically, I'd just
Mhm.
say like the goodness of the universe as an inherent innate power.
Mhm. I can
Because
see
I
that.
do believe that love conquers all.
Love is the ultimate power.
Yeah, both in the in all senses of the word, including the more platonic communal love
Yeah,
or the
and
love of art.
I definitely want I try to normalize just telling people that I love them very often
Yeah,
because I do. And like love isn't just one thing. It
yeah.
isn't just romantic, I want to marry you. Love is everything.
I mean, like as a polyamorous person, I do have plenty of that kind of love around as
Oh
well. But
yes. Absolutely.
but yeah, it is that positivity does like really fill me with hope. Um,
Mhm. It's like I can let the world drag me down or I can like I don't want to just accept things though. Yeah,
yeah,
if I can make even the smallest difference in one person's day, then I'm succeeding. If I can put a smile on your face, if I can drop some knowledge on you, then I'm doing a good job. I'm affecting the world.
yeah. And again, also to kind of on chaos theory on that very complicated book that I read. Um, our actions have ripple effects. And similarly, if we put positivity out into the world by increasing the amount of positivity out there, that still brings like a net positive, no matter how much you actually put in. And, I kind of also believe that by helping other people, those people become more likely to help others as well. And in turn, it progressively builds an increasingly better world.
Mhm.
And I want to believe that has a power. I believe that can be really strong.
No, I definitely think that change is not only possible but likely. It depends on us. We need to make the change in
Absolutely.
ourselves and in the world. Because we know the world is a very malleable place. Just look at
It
history.
really is.
Look at all the change that has happened. But so many people think just things are the way they are. Like, no,
Yeah.
they aren't. Things are
Basic
the way we make them.
Basically everything that we consider natural now at one point was different.
Hmm.
Like even to like some of the more basic things like are very far back. Like sure, if you want to mention oxygen, sure, that's very far back. But there was a time on Earth where there was life on Earth, but there was not oxygen.
Hmm. Oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis.
Yeah, like it used to be poisonous. It led to a mass
Yeah.
extinction event
Mhm. I
until
mean, oxygen is still poisonous to some living things,
Oh,
normally
yeah.
bacteria.
I mean, yeah, like, everything is technically speaking poisonous if it's in a high enough amount. You can die from water poisoning.
Hmm.
But it's like, it led to a mass extinction event, until um, the organisms developed who were capable of,
Hmm.
taking oxygen and turning it into carbon dioxide.
And then
And
there is that symbiotic relationship between
yeah,
the like plant-based life and oxygen-based life.
yeah.
Like,
And again, like, also to bring forth my, you know, hypothesis on the universe's internal goodness, that was an extinction event that should have killed all life on Earth, but it didn't, and it continued not just continued to thrive, but expanded and became so much more.
yeah, like the thing is, yeah, like so many things that exist now are due to it's pressure.
Yeah,
It's like, what, like, this everything's dying, and then there's that one genetic abnormality that lets an organism live, and then it breeds, and then suddenly it's now the new thing. Like,
yeah,
that's just how life works. It's how it's always been.
absolutely beautiful.
So will we as a species collapse and kill ourselves off and then be left with a small number of people that will then repopulate and it will be a better society? Maybe.
I mean, it wouldn't be that
Maybe.
bad a situation if it did.
No, but the thing is, but will we inevitably end up in the same place we are now? Are
Yeah,
we doomed to repeat those mistakes? We don't know.
yeah. I'm excited to find out.
I am too. It's fascinating and just it's sad that there's a lot of things we won't be able to experience or be there for.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's fascinating the sights we do get to see.
Mhm.
Like, I'm sure you've seen the memes of it where it's like, um, born too early to experience like space colonization, too late to experience the Renaissance, but just in time to see dank memes on the internet.
Yes.
But it's like so many things that we take for granted now are, completely impossible in the eyes of someone from the past and nostalgic to the eyes of people from the future. Like, this is gonna sound super cheesy, but a message not just to you, V, but everyone listening. The fact that you exist and are in this world makes the now and the present way more special than you can imagine.
Hmm. It's pretty gay.
I am pretty gay. I'm pansexual. I'm very gay. And I take it as a compliment.
Good.
But yeah, it's just in general, like the world is filled with so many wonderful things, and I do genuinely believe that all of us are part of that.
Mhm. It's it's beautiful and it's scary, and I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wonderful. Yeah, I'm also kind of, as we're talking about this, having the realization of like, I love how wild these podcasts can be. Um, because let me look at like the topic list from the last stream. So last week when I did this, it was about like my streaming plan, editing,
Mhm.
TV production, TTRPGs, and then like all kinds of random shit. But it kind
Yeah.
of like stayed within that realm of like nerd stuff. And here we are talking about like the inherent goodness of the universe. Uh,
Yeah.
all these kind of like grand ideas. I love doing this show so
Oh, yeah.
much.
It's great, and, like, you can have a plan, but then just the things that just come out of it,
Yeah,
just
yeah. It's always like
it's wonderful.
the beginning is always a bit hard because it's like, how do you get like a podcast off the ground? But I
Mhm.
always know that like once you reach a point where you can keep talking and like really get in the moment, like this format makes so much wonderful stuff happening.
Mhm.
I'm kind of glad I didn't have a topic list, otherwise I would be feel forced to stick to it. This
Mhm.
is so much more wonderful. I could not have come
Oh
up with
yeah.
these topics.
Well, I this is all stuff I love to talk about and I'm passionate about.
Yeah,
And like I think that's where you should always start with streaming or with any kind of thing. Just do something, pick something you can do without thinking. Pick something you're passionate about, something you don't need to think about that you can just go with.
yeah.
You
I
can't
mean,
you can't go wrong there.
yeah, I need to figure out a way to do it, but I want to make my world building like a frequent thing to star in my streaming.
Mhm.
Um, so like to kind of give it some context, a few years ago I started playing D&D with a group,
Mhm.
but I had never played D&D myself, never even read anything D&D related, so I knew nothing about any of it, and I was the
Mhm.
DM, and none of the players really played before. So
Mhm.
actually, like two of them played before, but like 2 out of 10 because we started
Yeah.
with a table of 10. So I completely homebrewed within 2 weeks my own setting. Um, I mean, at that point it wasn't focused. It was literally like one city and like the base, like a very basic history. Um,
Mhm.
but like from there on, like just kind of created this very large spanning world and like honestly, like if I could get a living for it, I would just spend my entire time, like my entire life, just working on that world, just like
Well, you
sharing about it, setting stories in it.
could.
I mean, in theory, I can, but it's like
Mhm.
it is a lot of work. I have a project, a Minecraft project, where I'm building that world in a one-to-one scale.
Mhm.
And I mentioned that to like a friend just casually, um, and they were like, "Hey, are you gonna like put it on a Minecraft on like a is it a public server? Like, can I join in? Can we stream
Mhm.
that?" And then I'm like, "Holy shit, I absolutely should just stream with
Absolutely.
people building shit in Minecraft and just on the meantime, like take some Xanax, get high, and just talk constantly about world building because my world building is fucking wild. Like the main religion
Oh
of
yeah.
like the largest culture group, or it's not like the largest group, but it's like the one that most of the campaigns are set in. Um,
Mhm.
they're kind of like the human stand-in because in this world all humans are extinct. Um, um, but like that culture, their worship is based around trees with metal growing out of it, and it's like all kind of stuff that kind of originally came from nowhere, and I actually somewhat developed into something that kind of makes sense, and it's so wonderful to work on.
No, it sounds glorious. It sounds amazing. And I wish that I could be creative in a lot of those ways. Like I'm I've always leaned more towards music. I wish I could draw. I wish I can write as far as I'm very good with the English language, but I always get stuck in the process of like I'll have great concepts, but I don't know how to turn them into anything.
Right. Yeah, I um writing is hard. I actually need to return to my writing project sometime. I have a story that I have on AO3 that is like a very heavy story. Um but that I really need to return to. And I know I have one friend who I constantly mention to like I need to like bring that back and he like always gets excited for it. And like I really
Mhm.
need to like actually finish a chapter now because it's getting cruel. it's getting cruel to mention, "Oh, I'm gonna work on it," and then just never actually release anything. But I have a story that I'm writing, and the first 5 chapters are up. That's about a girl who discovers that she is plural while dealing with like heavy trauma stuff, and also at the same time discovering that she's gay and like has a crush
Mhm.
on another girl. Um, and it's like about so many of the topics that used to really get to me when I was 19, the age of the main character, and it's been so wonderful um to like write about, to like have an outlet for that.
Mhm. No, it's I wish like and I'm really interested in that story. That sounds fantastic.
It
And
is extremely
if if
NSFW
I
though.
if I can help in any way, I'd love to.
I
Even
need
just as
to,
like someone to read over stuff.
yeah, I think it's just like I need to find the time and the inspiration to work on it. Um, Also thank you for the headpads, Koko Yoseki. Um,
Head pats.
yeah, I don't know why it's not working, but what is supposed to happen if you're looking at the stream? What is
Mhm.
supposed to happen when someone redeems that? Hey, it's not at all working. Why is the gift not
You ha
working?
Mhm. It doesn't like you.
Hang on. Does it work in the other? Because I think the gift might be broken. Um, this isn't should in no way be a priority, but okay, I need to fix that. What's supposed to happen is a hand is supposed to come on screen. Oh, now it
Mhm.
works. Okay.
There it is.
Supposed to happen is it's supposed to
Aw.
come on screen for a little bit and then
Mhm.
go away again. Um, but why is that not working? Um, yeah, I'm sorry, I completely got confused.
It's
Or I
okay.
got distracted.
Perfectly fine.
What were we talking about?
Uh, I don't know, I just work here.
Mood. I mean, technically you don't because I don't pay you to be on here, but but also mood. It's totally fine. Bache, is that the name of the person who's currently fronting? Yeah, I'm just trying to but yeah, the thing that I have, which is really wonderful to work with, is I have a digital um stream deck that's capable of connecting to Twitch and capable of taking in,
Toggling.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
recognizing it can recognize chat commands,
Mhm.
bits, subs, point rewards,
Yeah,
anything. Um, and it's capable of using it to trigger commands.
that's wonderful. Hold on. Oh, I gotta set up some more integrations like that. I'm being too lazy.
Mood, that's why, like, don't look at the fact that I don't have like any panels underneath my stream. I'm too lazy. I don't know how to make any.
Well, I do.
Yeah, I need to get around to it. That's just the thing.
Daughter's watching The Owl House right now.
That's such a good show.
Yeah. Because my younger daughter was gonna go bug her sister to play Roblox with her, and then apparently she's watching The Owl House instead.
Fair. I'm gonna
My
check if
daughters
this
are
is
queer
broken.
as hell.
Nice. Hey, it works now. Nice.
Yeah.
From my spectrum load is in here now. Ah, fair. Okay. But yeah, so you have
Yeah, new topic. Oh, go on.
yeah, the Owl House. Wonderful topic. Have you
Yeah.
seen it yourself?
I have not. It's
Oh,
on
it's so
my
good.
list.
It's so
And that list is growing faster than getting work done.
yeah, I know that feeling as well. I mean, I kind of have the advantage that I'm chronically alone, so I just um I just get to watch as many shows as I want to.
I've been watching The Good Doctor lately.
I need to watch that one.
It
I
is phenomenal.
hmm.
If you like medical dramas, of course.
Yeah, I've mostly just like the one thing I know about is that like the main character is autistic, so I'm like, is that going to be is that
I would
going to
say
be an
it's
okay?
done really well.
Good.
Like, I could
That's
be wrong. Maybe it's terrible representation, but
it's like I
I
think my sister likes
yeah.
it, like or like my family likes it, and if my
Mhm.
family likes something with autism, I instantly get worried.
Right?
It's like,
But I would say the show hits on a lot of good topics, including, polyamory at one point,
hmm,
and,
oh, that's nice.
um, I honestly, it hits on, like, all like, on all topics, and I think it does them very, very well.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
And I appreciate there's a lot of casual queerness in it too.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, that's
I
one of
don't
the good
like when
things that
it's made
yeah,
like the thing I hate about queer like, when there's, like, gay content and it's like they make a huge deal out of it.
and they make a big deal of it for one episode, and then the queer character never
Mm.
returns.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's instances where there's, like, lesbian gay couples and, like, it's just so glanced over, and it's so good.
Yeah, it's that's one of the good things about the Owl House is like a lot of the characters in it just simply are LGBT.
Mhm.
And like there was even like one character who was non-binary, and it's just like you know just gets to be themselves. The main character is a lesbian and is like no wait no the main character is bisexual and the love interest is a lesbian. I got them
Mm.
confused. But like when she never has a coming out as a bisexual character. It's just like when she
It's just a thing.
talks yeah when she talks about like love interest, it's not like, oh, you're into girls. It's like, ah, so you like her, is it, huh? It's never like making a
Mm.
big deal out of it. And it's like
Yeah.
sometimes it's nice to have a narrative that like goes into the experience of being queer, but we also
Yeah.
need casual representation. We can have
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another show that did that well, I find, was, The Magicians.
Mm,
Like, there's a couple, uh, that they're both bisexual, and they are both, like, polyamorous, and they have independent and group relationships throughout the show, but they're, like, those 2 are always, like, each other's primaries, and it's, like, really, really cool. And it's, again, it's just a thing in the show.
yeah.
And that's how the show was sold to me, by the way. My boyfriend was like, "You have to watch this show. There's a polyamorous bisexual couple that sleeps around with everyone." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm sold. I don't need anything else."
I mean, similarly, I was sold on Sense 8 because I was told like, oh, there's like a trans character and it played by a trans actor. And I was
Yes.
like, fuck yeah.
I knew nothing about that show going into it, and I was like, "Oh, it's so good."
It's also like, you know, kind of. very plural in a sense,
Yeah. Yeah,
and like
very much
it's
so.
not at all intentional because if it was intentional, they would say it because like they talk so openly about everything else that influenced it.
My
But
10-year-old daughter, I just asked, sorry to tangent real quick.
that's totally fine.
I I said I hadn't seen Owl House and asked if it was good, and she says, "Yeah." She's 10 years old, by the way, and has a girlfriend. She says,
Ah,
"Yeah, it's the only Disney show with LGBTQ in it, I think. Someone asked them so much for that show that they made it. Now I can only find it on YouTube, and Disney wants to cancel it. Sad face."
hmm,
My 10-year-old daughter. I love her.
how wonderful.
And she gets super shy and blushy when I ask her about her girlfriend. It's
Ah,
so cute.
that's adorable.
But yeah, like, definitely with the the plural thing in Sense8, like, I guess I didn't think about it until you brought it up, but
I mean, like
yeah, you're dealing
when I
with
first watched it,
feeling other people's thoughts and emotions, you're all connected.
yeah,
Definitely can definitely be seen as a metaphor for being plural.
yeah, and it's like when I need to explain to somebody how because like we co-con a lot, um,
Mhm.
or as in co-conscious a lot,
Yes.
um, and whenever somebody asks like, oh, well, how does communication in that case works, um, I just show them Sense 8
Yeah.
because
A lot of
it
times it's not
works.
words, like, it's just, like, there's just overlapping thoughts and feelings and things just you kind of just become like a network consciousness in parts where it's like you're almost a unique person outwardly that can be super fluid and and fluctuating, and it's
Yeah,
really hard to explain. And yeah, Sensei does now that, yeah, it can is a really good way to kind of show that in a way that's understandable.
yeah, and it's also like how it talks about how the Sense 8s are like a very advanced form of empathy and connection and everything, and like kind of played up as like a superior form of human. Um, although like it would never like refer to it as superior because it wouldn't go into
Mhm,
like the fascist sense, but
mhm,
like very much like plays up that like it is like an experience that you can't understand unless you have it, but it is like
mhm,
magical and wonderful. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, this is plurality. Fuck,
mhm.
how did I not realize this?
But yes, I did they I'm trying to remember. There was like was it 2 seasons of Sense8 and then like
Yeah, there
a
were
movie length thing?
going to be five,
Mhm,
but after the second season, Netflix said this is too expensive, we're canceling it.
mhm.
And then after like fan backlash, they made like a 2 hour. Um, I mean, it's listed as an episode, but it's 2 hours. It's
It's
basically a movie, and it feels
it's
like a
like
movie.
Firefly and Serenity.
Yeah, it actually feels like 2 episodes, actually more so
Yeah,
than a movie,
okay.
because it's um like the first 15 minutes is in one location, and the next 15 minutes is in another location, dealing with a different problem that was born from the first.
I don't think I've seen that yet. I
I
think I
recommend,
was waiting
yeah,
for it to come out and then just hadn't gotten around to it.
that's fair. It is like it is kind of like so many things that I can feel they were building up to for like the next season that we now
Mhm,
don't get to see, like Cassius's political career,
mhm,
um, Lito's acting job. All of that like has to be pushed to the side because we need to finish this conflict within 2 hours in a
mhm.
show that normally takes 1 hour per episode. How? It is like a very good episode. It's worth watching. Um,
Yeah.
I, especially when I was really into the show, just rewatch that episodes at times. It is though, like it definitely feels like um I think if you watch it, you will notice like this is where it goes into another episode because like the first episode just feels like the first half honestly just feels like episode 1 of season 3,
Mhm.
and then like everything after feels like, okay, um this is like
Everything
the
else compressed
solution.
into one episode.
Yeah, everything else like, I mean, it's not really much compressing it, but like, okay, we need a new conclusion that feels
Mhm.
narratively fulfilling based on what just happened before this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spoil what happens in it, of course, that would be cruel, but also to everybody in chat, watch Sense8. It's really good. Just heavy content warnings for suicide, because holy shit, that show has so much suicide.
There's a lot of media that, like, whether it be, shows, movies, games even, like, that will have, like, heavy trigger warnings, but
Yeah,
also, like, it might negatively affect you in the moment, but it's still an experience you should have. I've
definitely.
bringing up, like, Hellblade: Sensuous Sacrifice,
Oh, yeah.
content warning for, like, as like, there's a heavy focus on mental health, and, I think in particular, like, schizophrenia, like auditory hallucinations and
Yeah, I think
stuff, and
officially it's about psychosis.
yeah, well, I guess that's the definition now is, like, psychosis is a more
Yeah.
of a broader term that encompasses schizophrenia and stuff.
I mean, yeah, but that's like part of the disclaimer at the beginning. Like, this is
Yes,
about
and
psychosis.
oh, yeah, content warning for drug abuse as well,
Yeah.
for
So much
Sense8.
drugs. So much drugs in Sense8.
But yeah, like, it's a game that will probably, like, affect you, but it's an experience you should have. And yeah, I can say that about a lot of, like, you can say that about a lot of media. It's like, yeah, this movie will fuck you up, but you need to experience it, kind of thing.
And
One that I saw pretty
that's
early
the
in my
goal with
life
my
was Pay It
writing.
Forward. Oh, yeah, writing too. But the movie Pay It Forward,
I've never heard of that one
so
before.
so so sad. It's an older movie now because I watched it when I was a kid, and like the ending will like destroy you emotionally, but like it's something. It's like one of those experiences you like need to have in your life. It's like let this thing tear away all of your emotions. You are going to cry for hours and you will feel better afterward.
I mean, isn't that what life's all about?
Exactly.
I have like a few experiences like that where like we went through it and like cried after it, but like grew so much as individuals. Um, and I'm trying to think how many of those resulted in introjects in our system. Um, one of which is Life is Strange. The
Yes, that is
the
a very good example.
we have Max and Chloe introjects in our system. Chloe actually streams at times. Um,
Nice.
or like used to, not as much anymore. Um,
Mm,
then we have, so of our 15 members in the system, 10 are introjects of some kind.
mhm,
And I'm trying to like which ones are like from that sense of, it touched us so much.
mhm.
Um, I think another one of those is a visual novel. Okay, wait up. Let me pitch you this visual novel. Um,
Okay.
so first off, we have lesbians.
Okay, I'm
We're gonna
sold.
start with that.
I'm
It
in.
is so two lesbians who meet up on the road, one of which has an RV, and the other one has engine issues. Like car doesn't work, um, and the one with the RV says, "Okay, look, I'll drive you to like the gas station to get all the stuff you need. I'll bring you back, and you can continue on your trip."
Oof.
And they go there, go back, and the car is stolen.
Oof.
And um, at that point, it's also like revealed that the reason she's out in the desert by herself, the one who got the car stolen,
Mhm.
because she was looking for a treasure that's been all over the news.
Hmm.
So now she really she asks like, if you're willing to drive me, can you drive me to the first spot of the treasure instead, rather than driving me home? because this is
Mhm.
my first time that I'm really out of like my family's hair and I get to do my own thing, and I really don't want it to end this way. So they go over, and like the one with the RV, Amber, she doesn't really believe that the treasure was real. I should mention like
Mhm.
the couple was Amber and Marina, and they um so they found the first piece of the treasure together, um which like already kind of like proves like, oh shit, like this treasure was real. And
Mhm.
then they go and find the other pieces together, and they fall in love, and they fuck
Aw.
hard. No,
I'm in.
that's actually not a joke. There was an 18 plus patch.
I approve.
It's Highway Blossoms on Steam, and it's
Oh!
so good
Oh, that was on my list of while I was playing a bunch of visual novels. That was on my list.
that it is
I was
so
doing,
good.
Arcade Spirits is one I did. I actually worked on with, TF Wright on Wicked Willow.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've done that
No,
one or seen that one.
I
Um,
don't know a lot of
he's, okay, TF Wright also did, Pirates Pirates Fate, I think it's
interesting.
called. It's a furry queer visual novel,
Nice.
and, I'm hopefully gonna be working on his, another upcoming one. I kinda had a moment where, like, there was a period of time where I was like, "I really wanna do visual novels because I also would voice all the characters if it was an unvoiced visual novel, and, that got the attention of Mr. T.F. Wright, because he was working on Wicked Willow, and I was gonna do some voices for it, but then, and do some music for it, but then my stuff in my life kinda took a turn, and I wasn't able to do a bunch of stuff
Right.
for it, but I still worked with him a lot, did a lot of beta testing and concept work on the story arcs and like, like reading and providing input for certain character arcs and stuff.
That's wonderful.
And like, yeah, and he's got a couple other projects kind of like on the back burner right now that I'd love to see come to fruition. But
Yeah. If
like
I
heck yeah, I love visual novels.
if I could, I would turn Untethered, my story, into a visual novel.
Mhm.
I would absolutely love to see that immortalized as a visual novel, but that's so much work, and I would actually need to finish the server first. And that's like the hard part,
Mhm.
making a story. Um, but yeah, Highway Blossoms is so good. Like I keep telling people to play it, and like I kind of am hearing in the back of my head, like the interject from the system Amber pointing out I maybe shouldn't refer to her source and like talking about how they fuck hard in it, but fuck it.
I mean, you could have led with that. That would have been like, "Yep, don't need to hear anything else. I'm in."
I mean, yeah, but you gotta lay on
I
this.
know there's more to it than that.
Yeah. No, but what's else actually really interesting about it? When you finish it, you can replay it in goofball mode. And it has three difficulties. It has easy, which is just like, I think like a 2 minute shortened version of the story, which is
Mhm,
like extremely abridged. Um,
mhm.
because like there's a lot more that I didn't mention that's also in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, who are you? Oh, I'm your new girlfriend. Oh, wow, but I have all the medical debts I need to deal with. Don't worry, I found this treasure. We're rich now. How wonderful. Let's go to a festival.
Glorious.
And that's but also like the normal difficulty goofball mode is like just going through the story again, but with scenes changed.
Mhm,
Um, so most of it is the same, but like some of the jokes are different, and it's honestly worth it, especially for some of the fourth wall breaks.
mhm.
Because it's like that normally doesn't happen in real life. It's almost like this is some kind of weird video game. Remember that existential talk I said we would have to have back at the RB?
No, yeah, I remember I think I'd spoken to TF about this one in particular, and I kind of really wanna play it like, now.
It's so good. I highly like when
Mhm.
I first got it, um, I didn't expect much from it, and like I played through it all in one night, and I got so fucking emotional after it.
Mhm.
And then like I stayed away for like a few months, just to like kind of make me forget the story, so I could go to it fresh again, and then went through again, and I cried again really hard,
Yep.
and like it's so good.
And, like, there are so many like, it is a very wonderful storytelling medium.
It is. It really can be.
Mhm. Even if they're linear stories, like, it's just
Yeah.
a great way to
Yeah.
experience
In this
a
case, it
narrative.
is like a very linear story, but
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes that is also a strength, like the strength to be
Yes.
linear.
Mhm.
Um, there's often like kind of like a folk in such genres like there's a need for it to be like choices and such, and I feel like sometimes standing in a linear story that like has a point that it's needing to.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, like, if reading books, I did love choose your own adventure books when I was little, but also I like regular books too. Those are very linear.
yeah,
So I feel the same way about like visual novels. It's just another way to experience a story, and whether you're making choices or just along for the ride, like they're equally valid. And I definitely feel that there's more of the choose your own adventure variety of visual novels probably out there.
yeah. I think
But
most like visual novels, because like I think most people just make just make it a book otherwise.
hmm, picture book.
Yeah,
Hmm.
in art class, chopping pancakes and listening to stream were wonderful. That's the life.
Yes, this is the way. This is the way.
I mean,
That
like
sounds lovely.
when I was in college, and I'm bringing back the tradition together with one of my authors, Rosa. We um we would make pancakes I think it was a Wednesday night, Wednesday evening for dinner. Because like Dutch pancakes are different from American pancakes, so
Mm,
they can be eaten as like a dinner.
mhm.
Um, it's not a super healthy dinner, but like you can do it.
Yeah.
We would make them every Wednesday, and then like the leftovers are breakfast and lunch for like 2 days after.
Mm.
Um, I think I kind of since I adjusted my recipe, I don't make that. Either I eat a lot more now, or something about my recipe makes me not get that much anymore. Um, but it's so lovely to make. Actually, wait, do people want to hear my Dutch pancake recipe because it's super easy to make?
Yes, I wanna write
Okay.
it down.
Um, I am gonna give everything in grams. If you want to have it in imperial units, do the conversions yourself because I
Mm.
don't know
Yeah,
imperial
get wrecked.
units. Um,
Mhm.
I also, by the way, these are vegan pancakes.
Even
Because
better.
yeah, genuinely like it tastes so much better. Um, I nowadays do it with 400 gram. Like, keep in mind, like this is in college. I had enough leftovers for breakfast and lunch like the next few days. So maybe don't keep this much. But
Mhm.
I take the recipe that I use now, 400 grams of flour, put that in a bowl. Then I put in total, I put in 1 liter of almond milk, but I put it in batches. So first I put in 600 milliliters, and then I put in the remaining 400 later. Um, so just, a little bit more than half of a liter of milk, put in that in first. Um, Mix it up as much as you can, and then after that, while mixing, put in the rest of the milk and 2 to 3 tablespoons of applesauce.
Ooh.
Most people make vegan pancakes with bananas, and that's fucking gross. Make them with applesauce. And then put in a pinch of cinnamon. Or be like me and put in like a shit ton of cinnamon. Um,
How much applesauce did you say?
2 to 3 tablespoons. Um, but like, so the applesauce replaces the egg, and it's there to
Mhm,
bind your mixture. So if your mixture doesn't bind properly, so like you have a bunch of like clumps in it, and you have like loose milk,
yeah.
and it doesn't seem to be one
Adjust your
consistent thing,
applesauce.
yeah, you just put in a bit more. And it's fine to put in a bit extra applesauce. You don't need to stick to a minimum amount. So you can put
Mhm,
in a bit extra if you want to. Yeah, then the pinch of cinnamon in it, and then just cook them in like put them in pans on your stove. Um, and you put them in the pan first, or you put like your first one in the pan, and then when the top is dry, you should usually be able to turn it around. So then you
mhm,
flip the pancake around, you bake the other side. Of course, bake it either with oil or with butter. My preference would be oil because vegan, but there are also vegan butter alternatives you can use. Um,
mhm,
but you flip it to the other side, and typically, if you see smoke coming out of your pan, that's a good sign that the pancake is ready. But absolutely feel free to just flip it around a bunch of times until you see that it's ready, just to check.
mhm,
Um, that's the recipe I use. Make sure that your pan is warm enough before you put in the first one, or it will
mhm.
not properly bake.
Yeah. I make damn excellent pancakes, and I'm looking forward to, trying this recipe out.
Wonderful. Let me know how it goes.
Sounds so good.
Yeah,
I will. Mhm,
we now that we have a new apartment with our own kitchen, we're trying to like kind of experiment with cooking more.
mhm,
So it's like I'm loving that I get to do this again because
mhm,
it takes ages to make pancakes, to make pancakes for a meal, um, especially when you're making a lot. And my previous social housing, I had a shared kitchen that was often loud, not properly cleaned up, and people would constantly walk in and out. And it gets very
mhm.
stressful to cook in for a long time.
Yeah.
But now I have my own and I can do whatever I want.
And do all the things.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've lived alone for most of my life at this point, and I when I have someone else to cook for, I love doing, like, extravagant meals. If I'm just by myself, though, things are pretty, low key.
yeah. I mean, like
Keep it
today,
simple.
I just had macaroni. Like,
Macaroni! Mhm.
yeah.
How long do these usually go for, by the way?
I honestly I do not have a schedule.
Okay.
Usually until the other person taps out.
Yeah,
So
I'm just curious, like, if you I like, narratively, I feel like we're at a good wind down point, but
yeah,
I wasn't sure if you have, like, a minimum time you aim for or not.
not really.
'Cause we can
Um,
always pick up another topic, but
yeah, and honestly, it's up to you. I also don't know if you want to stream after this yourself.
uh yeah, I do.
Yeah, then like what's
Should
convenient for
probably
you?
I should probably go start getting ready for my stuff then.
Yeah, then I honestly I need to finish editing my video because I should have
Yeah.
been done Friday.
Yeah, well, get your work done. Do it. Do the thing.
I'll see if I have the energy for it. But yeah,
Mhm.
it was lovely having you on. Um,
Absolutely. I had a lovely time.
gonna put in chat again for those of you who are. I think the majority of people here were people from your community who came in. But that's fine. Um, those of you who came in from the raid, again, massive thank you to Midi for raiding earlier. Um, but also everybody else here, please consider giving a follow to V. She's absolutely
Also
lovely.
follow the garden system, because
Thank
Triss and
you.
the rest of everyone else is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and bring my world building streams later this week. So I'll see if I'm able
Mhm.
to do those. And then Friday, Hawk will be back with more Dark Souls 3,
Yeah.
which is gonna be fun. And I need to figure
Mhm.
out when to do it, but I have a few games planned that I'm gonna stream soon. Once I find a time slot for it, I might actually do that Thursday. Might actually be better. Um, but that's gonna be fun.
Mhm.
So with that, to everyone on stream, actually, I think I'm Um, gonna raid good friend of the channel, Pouting Yoshi, aka Johnny.
Oh, I'm looking them right now.
Oh, nice. Um,
Pokemon
and
Nuzlocke.
yeah, um, definitely like go check it out. Um, be nice, be kind, represent me in a good way, and everybody have a wonderful night. And I hope to see you all again very soon. Goodbye.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.